above my limit, so that's it.
You sure you want to be here?
Yes, I do.
Are you absolutely sure?
I'm positive.
Whatever you have to do, just find an excuse to win. Keep going.
It pays to be a winner.
And welcome to Cold War Radio, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Hutch Bailey Jr., deep down in the broadcast bunker in the city of Pittsburgh. Let's go straight to the Shenandoah Valley and welcome Jack to the program. Jack, come in, please.
Hello, Hutch. Warmed up. That green room action was pretty good tonight. A little mix of some oldies, some funk, some rap, and some Richard Pryor. We're ready to rock.
Yeah, we had a little bit of fun before the show. Please follow me on Spreaker, ladies and gentlemen. Like the Facebook page, facebook.com/Cold War Radio 22. You can email the show, hutch@steelcityresistance.com. The Cold War Radio Patron hotline is open at 412-206-6208. After the live show, you can catch the podcast on Spreaker.com, SteelCityResistance.com, the 405media.com, iHeartRadio, iTunes, the Cold War Radio app that is free in your app store. regardless of which one. Go to steelcityresistance.com and catch the research room. More importantly, become a Cold War Radio patron, and you can also contact your representative in D.C. on social media from the website. There are 2 pages, one for the Senate and one for the House of Representatives. Shows their Facebook and Twitter handles and everything. If you want to write to the program, write to Cold War Radio, P.O. Box 96022, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15226. You're listening to the Wednesday Briefing with your host, Hutch Bailey Jr. and Jack, here on Cold War Radio. All right, so it's another Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a ton of things going on. Let me get some of the background stuff out of the way. I did some work in between shows and got a brand new slew of commercials for the breaks. You can check out all of them, 35 minutes worth of them, on video. If you go to steelcityresistance.com, it's the post directly before this post. So you can scroll down there at your leisure, after the show, of course, and you can check out all of the old commercials in their video formats that I'll be playing for the next year or so on the program. So there's that. That's pretty cool, too. I also have a button in there for producer inquiries, and I did get one. And let me just reiterate, ladies and gentlemen, this is a podcast that is proudly supported, or I should say I'm proud to be supported by Cold War Radio's patrons, but that's the extent, really, of any kind of income or funding that is generated by this program. So, no, it's not a paid position. It's a volunteer, hobbyist position for somebody to do it. You've got to want to do it the same way that we like to come out here and be hosts. Some people like to be behind the scenes, so it is not a paid position yet. I'm not saying it ever will be or it ever won't be. You never know. But as of right now, there's that. There's a position description on that page, on the producer inquiries page of the website of steelcityresistance.com. There is a draft position description in there. There's a screenshot of what the studio kind of looks like. So there you go. Go check that out. Big developments in Pittsburgh, Jack. We have a communist mayor that's coming out of his communist shell and trying to confiscate all semi-automatic weapons and any magazine 10 rounds or larger. Just ridiculous. All green tip ammunition, BB guns, starter pistols, facsimile weapons. And man, the Allegheny County, you got to understand the area. Allegheny County is the county that Pittsburgh is in. Pittsburgh's a tiny little city in Allegheny County, about 300,000 people. A million or so in Allegheny County. Not sure exactly how many, but more people outside of Pittsburgh than inside. And you've got a county district attorney, and I think he's Democrat. I'm almost positive. His name's Frank Zappala. He might be a Republican, but I'm almost positive to get that position he would have to be a Democrat. But he came out against the mayor and said, hey, I don't want to get in a fight with you, but surely you people have law departments. I mean, this is unconstitutional. It's not going to fly. And you could be held criminally liable. And the mayor took the bait and decided, Jack, that he wanted to see if he could fight the district attorney, and that's not going to turn out well for him. And God bless Frank Zappala.
Yeah, for bringing that up. I mean, I thought in a previous show you had discussed there's part of Pennsylvania's own state law, that basically says you cannot take.
And there's been cases that were tried that the state won of other communist cities in Pennsylvania that tried this. And it doesn't work. It's not going to work now. All it's going to do is waste valuable Pittsburgh taxpayer money. I mean, and there's not that many taxpayers left in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's the shame of it all. All of these fights that these with the gun rights deal or sanctuary city type deal, these cities and these states have no problem spending the taxpayer money brought in to fight these things to the activist judges in certain areas of the country. So, but that's awesome. Allegheny.
It is.
It's sort of like when the sheriffs stand up against the police department back in the Obama
And I did
administration.
throw some tweets out there too at the Allegheny County Sheriff. Are you going to support this communist stuff or what? You know, so you got to keep pressure on them. Firearms Owners Against Crime is keeping up the pressure. He's going to get sued. There's no doubt about it. That we're not going to stand by and just let this happen. I hope it ruins the guy. I do. If Frank Zapala had any brains, he would depose Bill Peduto and run for mayor himself.
I remember you were saying that, and you were like, "This is like the test bed. Pittsburgh's trying to do this," but you got to realize the size of Pennsylvania and the amount. I mean, Pennsylvania. When I was growing up in Virginia, that was the state where, when hunting season opened in Pennsylvania, the kids got out of school.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Oh, there's no joke.
Time,
well, there's two
first
different.
Day of hunting season.
There's two different things. There's hunting season. And there's also opening day of the Pirates. Those 2 days are days off of school.
We are family.
Yeah.
I remember they won the World Series back then, right?
They did. It's 1960, 1971. And
Bill Mazeroski?
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was on both times. 79 also. Pittsburgh hero, that guy.
Yeah. Willie Stargell.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember them hats they wore.
I do.
The flat top.
I lived it, man. I mean, the thing that was cool about that was back in that day, people spent their entire career on one team. And that's the way the Pittsburgh Pirates were. These guys lived in the neighborhood. Hell, Rocky Blyer still lives here. I see him from time to time.
Yeah, that's missing from it because it became, and you see a very few amount of professional teams that have that tie to the community and want the players that they draft to develop and become stars and help the team be successful and then retire with the same team.
And unfortunately,
it still
the culture
happens, but it's not
the culture too. You know, they bring these thugs in here from New York and from other places, and they're just they're scum from the minute they come in here. You know, drug charges, beating women. That never used to happen back in the day. You know, that's from out of towners doing that. And it's I don't like that aspect of sports anymore. I really don't. I liked it better when, and I know people look at you, oh, you just want to live in the past. Well, you know, it was better when you knew who your team was and you knew that for a couple $100,000, this guy wasn't going to jump ship to another team because he had a chicken restaurant or whatever on the side. You know, I mean, it's just total different. Not good. But anyway, so good news for the Pittsburgh region for that, and for the country, as a matter of fact, because they singled out Pittsburgh as being weak. I mean, that's the whole reason that this is all funded by Michael Bloomberg and all of his groups, Mayors Against the Constitution, you might as well call it. Something that we reported on early, I don't even think it was Cold War Radio. I think it was early during Steel City Resistance, and I've said this before, and I went through my archives and tried to find it, and I couldn't because some of my earlier show notes were on Google Docs, and it's just a mess. But I did say, we did report on this many years ago. There's border ranchers in New Mexico right now, Jack, that are saying that they found prayer rugs out in their land. It's unreal. I mean, this is on top of reports that a huge amount of people being caught at the border are not Latin American. They're Chinese and Russian and everything else.
Yeah, Bulgaria, Bangladeshis. I think it was last week we talked about this. There was a report out on one of the, I think it was Fox, 100 plus secured at the border, 41 different nations represented by those detainees, none of which came from Central America. So that tells you something there. That's just one day. This deal with the border is getting to crunch time. I'm so happy that President is holding firm right now in the midst of this government shutdown. I know,
and more importantly, more importantly, Mitch McConnell holding firm. Mitch, if you're listening, Mitch, if anybody's listening that can talk to Mitch, you have a chance, you have an opportunity here to excel like nothing else you have ever done in your career. If you stand firm in the Senate and hold it together, it will be your finest hour, sir. The only thing that's going to stop us from winning this is us. And, Jack, we are trying so hard to lose this. I mean, so hard. This debacle with Representative Stephen King has got to be one of the most embarrassing things to me that I've ever seen. I mean, this is just the reaction of the white members of the Republican Party in Congress tells you why the Republicans never get a damn thing done. Because they are so ready to shoot their brother. They're so ready to tell one of their own members, who is excellent on immigration and Islam, by the way, that he must get out of Congress because of something he slipped up with. Now, you know doggone well that he did not mean to say white supremacist in that comment. If he did mean to say white supremacist, then I may change my tone. But I do not think that he meant that.
I think a lot of the context is missing because he said there's no recording, and why in the world he would in this day of fake news, especially from the New York Times and the Washington Post, why he would even agree to a sit-down interview with the New York Times at this time, knowing that that's all they're looking for is to try to target anyone that is against their globalist agenda.
But this one-sided, I'm talking about the racial thing, though, not the rest of the politics. I'm talking about the Republicans and their hair-trigger stupidity to immediately crush one of their brothers with even a scintilla.
But it didn't take long for Cheney's daughter.
Oh, it's horrible, man, to tell him to get out.
Yeah, she's what? This is her third year. She was a freshman. That's why I know you said you didn't mind Cheney, but this is one of the reasons that why you're repopulating the deep state with actors like her. Yeah. In my opinion.
Why do you think
with how Romney got in Utah?
Why do you think black people won't go with Republicans? Because of stuff like this. Because they look at this and they say you're not worth it. You won't even stand up for yourself. And I mean, I'm telling you, anybody who thinks that anybody looks on any of this with a positive note, the only people is your other congressman and the media. And even the media is going to make a monkey out of you. But to get
just prior to the show, just to let you all know, I saw an interview with Martha McCallum and Representative Tim Scott, who's an African-American GOP congressman. And he's like, we need to be like pushing forward with the results of the first 2 years of the Trump presidency, the lowest unemployment rate in history for black Americans, for Hispanic Americans. I mean, in doing all of these things, we don't need to be bringing up this racism deal.
He was one of the first ones, though. You know what I mean? Tim Scott was one of the first ones out there dogging this guy. I mean, on the same day.
He changed his tune tonight.
He must have.
He was basically saying, what are we doing here?
Good.
We're killing ourselves.
You're absolutely right. When's the last time you heard anybody in the Republican Party, especially anybody who is white, say anything about the Congressional Black Caucus and the garbage they say every day? You know, the garbage that Hank Johnson comes up and compares the president to Adolf Hitler.
Right.
I mean, you never hear it.
Tlaib that happened last week.
To
me, anytime you sit there and talk and the way the left wants and the media wants to portray anyone in the United States that has feelings for this constitutional republic, we would be considered either populist or nationalist.
Exactly.
How in the hell does white come in there? It's not white nationalism.
But even if it is, even if somebody said white
nationalist,
even if somebody is a white nationalist, and I made this argument often and I stand by it. We have to get away from the word white being bad. We have to get away from that. And I'm telling you, white people, you're the only ones that are going to do it. You need to look at these Republicans that I mean, can you imagine being friends with any of these people or having them in your squad when you were in the military, Jack?
Well, I think we need to fight back, man.
Yeah.
Instead of allowing the left to call themselves Democrats, socialists, we'll just call them National Socialists and tie them to the Nazis, which is basically all of the things that they've been doing with Antifa.
They're not that far away.
Trying to
right.
shut down free speech from conservatives, and also to isolate, what do they call them? Toxic masculinity.
We're going to go into that
white
too.
Males.
Yeah, we're going to go into that too. But right now, on this subject and what you said about Tlaib, this is a New York assemblyman. I think his name is Dov Hikind. I'm not exactly sure of the name, but if you want to follow it up, go to the video posts on the website and you can read the whole article. But let's listen to his interpretation and reaction to this stupid, just completely stupid, cowardly move by damn near everyone in Congress that's a Republican.
She was only in Congress for a day or two. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who one of her first acts as a member of Congress is to accuse the Jewish people of due loyalty here in America, something that the enemies of the Jewish people going back to Nazi Germany and all over the world have used against the Jewish people. And who is her best friend? Who does she celebrate with? But Abbas Hamadiya, who is a supporter of Hezbollah, a supporter of Hamas. I'm looking at his actual tweet. The supporter of two organizations dedicated to the destruction of the state of Israel, dedicated to the destruction of the Jewish people. One of his tweets, happy birthday to the most honorable Arab Muslim leader of our lifetime, he says. And of course he has a picture of Nasrallah, who leads the fight to destroy the Jewish people. Let us remember that Hezbollah has been involved in attack upon American soldiers. This is a terrorist organization as defined not just by the Trump administration, the Obama administration before. And this is who our new member of Congress associates with? On her first day, she associates with those who want to murder and maim and destroy the Jewish people and destroy the state of Israel. Who is speaking out? Who is standing up? Is it Nancy Pelosi? Does she have the guts? Does she have the courage to stand up regardless of any kind of politics? Is it maybe the shomer, the watcher of the Jewish people, the minority leader of the United States Senate? Or is it only when it's a Republican that Democrats speak out? Or is it only when it's President Trump that the Democratic Party is united to condemn any kind of racism or hatred? What about within the Democratic Party?
We got to stop playing their game, ladies and gentlemen. We just have to stop. We have to. I don't respond to any call of racism toward me. I'm not entertaining that conversation. I'm not, because you can't win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no way. So why even respond? I think the president's figured that out.
Yeah, like you said. I mean, they label the president racist 24/7. And if you look at the stats and all the programs, everything he's trying to implement, and the things that he's accomplished in his first 2 years, if he was such a racist, why would he be helping the people that he supposedly thinks he's better than?
It's crazy.
He's been reaching out to try to revive the inner cities, trying to bring back jobs. The unemployment rate, like I said earlier, lowest records ever under any president.
He just reset life for so many people that are in prison. You know, they have another shot at life, and I pray to God that they take it. I do. I pray to God that they take it. I don't know. I know that the numbers are not there to support that. But then again, I don't know the exact criteria that get you a selection to that list. So maybe there's other things involved. But I wish them well. I do. Nobody should have to spend their life. If you do something that bad, we ought to just put a bullet in your head. I mean, to keep somebody alive for that long.
Always the big hiccup in any good-natured plan or bill passed by the Congress is that
one guy.
The criteria is set by our federal government, and they don't have a very good track record, which is why we're so pissed off at them. I mean, look what they're doing right now.
I want you to listen to a clip, and this is a substitute teacher. Commonly known in communist union circles as a scab, that's trying to get in to teach somebody's children because the United Teachers of Los Angeles are on strike. Turn around. Scumbag. So it was your typical union dregs out there trying to intimidate somebody who got hired to step in the breach. This is how you can tell they don't give a damn about the kids. And I'm not talking about teachers. I'm talking about teachers' unions.
It says DSA at Los. Is that Democrat Socialists of America?
I was going to say that next. Guess where this came from? I got it in a tweet from the Democrat Socialists of America, Los Angeles. No scab, all caps. No scabs allowed in Uniontown. Hashtag that I brought to you on Monday. Red for Ed and UTLA strong. So and strike ready hashtag also. Let's not forget that one. So this is who is controlling our schools, whether we like it or not. The communists have made huge inroads in our education system, and as parents and friends of parents and American citizens, if we don't reverse this fake news, this fake knowledge that somehow socialism is good and we've got it terrible here, then it's on us. If we allow that to continue, then it's on us. Everybody has their own circle of influence. Please do the right thing and influence the people around you and how nuts this is. Because these people are brain dead. I know.
You see these people are striking, not taking care of teaching the children. And on the other end of the spectrum, they are full on board attacking the second lady, Vice President Pence's wife, because she took a job to teach art class in a Christian school.
With a morality clause, which said you can't be a deviant. And that's where we are right now. I read that same story, and it's like, that this
the vice president and his wife are both bigots.
Yeah,
which is what goes right to racism. The 1-2 punch. That's all they have.
All the bad stuff Christians are. White and slave owners and everything else.
Right. Go back to Talib.
Burning Tituba at the stake.
When her very first thing that she did when she set up her office, put up a map. And what was missing off that map? Israel.
Right. Renamed Palestine.
Yes.
No
outrage from the media.
Not even a little bit. And you've got committees in the House right now. I wish I had the committee name. I do not. But they abolished their subcommittee on terrorism and repurposed it to investigate the president's Russian collusion. And Adam Schifferbrains, who is now in charge of the Judicial Committee, or the Oversight Committee, rather, is hiring full-time team to investigate the president's Russia connections. I'm getting so sick of this, Jack. It's, I was telling my wife today, they were showing, now this wasn't the Russian thing, but it gets me that we have this apparatus, this media, this big business apparatus, and they are they are convincing weak-minded Americans. I'm watching on the television, and this is a nightly segment now, and it will be until it's resolved. They're watching this caravan coming north, this fictitious caravan, and they every night they go and they show ladies with bare feet and all these people, and how are you going to possibly... They expect you to believe that these people are walking from Honduras and Guatemala to Texas. And I'm telling you, that's not happening. You cannot tell me, and I'm gonna bust Jack out right now. I never asked him this question before, but I'm going to ask him. I'm going to compare my own experience, because we were both in the United States Army. And I got to tell you, at the height of my physical fitness perfection, when I was a young sergeant and young warrant officer, and I had to go on a 12-mile road march.
I love those.
At the end of that 12-mile road march, I was done. I'm talking done, fried, dyed, and put to the side.
Oh, I actually love those at
You
Fort Bragg.
you had to be that one
times.
guy. You had to be that one guy.
No, I mean, but I
You know what
the
I mean.
Difference. Yeah, I mean, I was younger at that. It would kill me right now. But you're talking about full, ruck load, ruck up, 40-pound, 50-pound ruck,
Or even the speed marches, even the 6-mile marches without the ruck. You know, just walking like that for miles and miles is not something that some 60-year-old
you got to
fat
get
lady
yourself
would do.
into that zone. But I understand the comparison. You know, there's no way that these people aren't militarily trained. They're not conditioned to do this. And you know, I saw a news article yesterday where a report where there was like 8 guys that couldn't afford a $7 bus ride, that the women and kids got on a bus to continue forward on that. But obviously there was 8 guys on the march that couldn't afford the bus ride to the border, which a lot of them have already crossed. You know, they're into Mexico now, a large majority of them. And there's another march coming. So it's like never ending. Hello, America. As long as the border is open, they're going to keep doing this.
That's right. I mean, it's. But my point was that the media puts this narrative on, and they're seriously looking at these people and talking to them and acting like they're not getting on a truck as soon as the camera gets shut off. You know, we proved it before.
Plus, they want to make them look like victims.
Exactly.
You know, they're fleeing oppressed lands. That if they're being oppressed in their own country, why did Congress approve $10 billion to support and help these countries? Why wouldn't you put sanctions on them and say you need to treat your people better? Why the hell are they all leaving?
Yeah, I mean, and it's clear. I mean, they're coming for the benefits. You remember the Obama administration had a heck of an advertising campaign in Central and South America, you know, telling everybody to come and how they could get food stamps and everything else.
It's all. I mean, and a lot of times you hear them say, "Well, we need some people to pick the lettuce out here." I'm like, how many people does it take to pick one head of lettuce?
You know, not
we
only
had
that,
migrant worker policies in the United States for, since the early 1900s.
Earlier than
they
that,
start
man,
there.
back in the 1600s. but
I mean, I'm just saying, we always had migrant workers coming from Mexico, went in and went across certain areas of the United States for their 5-6 months harvesting. And once they got done, they took all their money and went back to their home.
And taxes were taken out. I mean, it was an up and down. I had a caller one. I don't know if you remember, but a guy turned me right around on that issue. He educated me, and I got it now. I understand. But that being said, I don't want to hear another report about how many surplus jobs we have that Americans won't take until you tell me that there's nobody left on welfare. Because if there's an open job out there and there's an able-bodied American over here, you offer it to them. You either take the job or we're taking you off welfare. We're taking you off welfare either way. So you can either take this job or you could just go away. I mean, I honestly think that we need to do that because there's jobs that Americans won't take because it's too easy for them to get my money. You know, you make it a little harder.
We're missing a lot of the and back when, you know, in the older days, there was apprenticeship programs for kids coming out of high school that didn't want to go and get a 4-year degree, good with their hands, and they wanted to put in some time. And you like the ones I'm familiar with, like the Norfolk area with Newport News Shipbuilding. You know, you'd go in out of high school and start an apprenticeship program, and it would you get paid while you were learning, and these folks would spend the time there and have a whole entire career, be able to have a family, have a comfortable life, buy a house.
And who stopped that? Who stopped that? The teachers' unions. You know, the whole apparatus, the Democrat apparatus stopped that, so we would have more victims. And that's what we have. We have kids out there that couldn't change the oil in the car. You know,
that's a damn shame.
It's true, though. It's absolutely true.
All the things, I mean, there should be some basic things, self-reliance skills that should be taught from the first day of school.
When I was in Iraq,
you need to be able to take care of yourself. And it's not. It's like they try so hard now to make every kid dependent upon authority, on government.
Now, my son,
that's wrong.
When I was in Iraq, my son, and just you know, to get it out there, now he's not like this anymore. Now he operates a fire truck.
He broke through.
Yeah, he broke through. But when he was 18 and I was in Iraq, he called my wife and said, "I got a flat tire. What do I do?" 18-year-old American boy. Hell, I was rebuilding cars by then.
We used to have to work on them just to get them to run, you know?
Man, I changed oil in a hefty bag one time. You know, you do what you got to do. All right, we got to segue here because this is a very serious issue. We lost at least 4 U.S. troops / contractors in Syria. And CBS did a report on this. And I captured it because I just wanted the news story. But as I was listening to it, I'm analyzing this. I want you to listen to the correspondents, especially the correspondent that is in the Pentagon. And I want you to think to yourself as you're listening to this clip, these are news correspondents. They're news correspondents supposedly reporting the news. I want you to listen how many times they injected anti-Trump into this report about these KIAs in Syria.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anne-Marie Green.
I'm Vladimir Dutit. News out of...
All right, hold on. Let's do that again. I want you to listen to the guy's name, to Vladimir. Vladimir is a black man.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anne-Marie Green.
I'm Vladimir Dutit. News out of Syria. We're following reports of a car bombing in Syria that has killed U.S. troops. The blast happened in Manbij in northern Syria. According to Turkish news, ISIS is claiming responsibility for the attack.
So joining us now from the Pentagon is national security correspondent David Martin. So, David, what do we know so far about this attack?
Well, we know so far that the U.S. military is officially confirming that American troops were killed in this car bombing in Manbij today. They are not yet confirming a number of dead, but there is one report that 4 soldiers are dead and others wounded. If that is true, this would be the single largest loss of life in Syria since U.S. Troops went in there back in 2015. And obviously the irony is that it happens so soon after President Trump declared a victory against ISIS in Syria and said it was time for all American troops to come home.
That's a very important point to make there, David. Tell us about the location of this attack. Give us a lay of the land and what perhaps those troops were doing in that part of Syria.
Sure, Vlad.
Well, Manbij was liberated from ISIS in 2016, and ever since then it's been the model for how you would go about establishing government and establishing security after you have liberated an area from ISIS. And part of that security included very visible American patrols. Sometimes they would patrol on their own, sometimes they would patrol with Turkish troops. In this case, there was a visiting delegation of European and American dignitaries, and they may well have been providing security for those dignitaries. But the goal for the U.S. has always been the lasting defeat of ISIS. And if ISIS can mount a deadly car bombing in an area that has supposedly been liberated, that would indicate that we are still some ways away from achieving the lasting defeat of ISIS.
I think everyone will agree that ISIS has sustained incredible damage, that ISIS has been pushed out of, much of Syria, but clearly not gone. So what is the current state of ISIS in Syria?
The current state of ISIS in Syria is they are down to a few pockets of resistance, most of them very close to the border with Iraq along the Euphrates River Valley. A few pockets where they can still fly the ISIS flag and claim they hold that territory. But that is no longer the battle here. The battle is ISIS adapting to the fact that they could not hold territory.
So this guy's a general now.
And against local troops backed up by American Special Operations Forces. The battle now is to establish security in these liberated areas because ISIS is melting away into the population, waiting for conditions to permit them to go.
All right, I can't take any more of that. Jack, the thing about this to me is, in my opinion, and I really, I get sick listening to Lindsey Graham. Lindsey, take a vacation. Lindsey, just get off the airwaves. Don't say anything. Don't tweet. Just go away for a while. Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio and John Cornyn and all these people that come out and they criticize the president. To me, losing 4 in Syria, in a place we haven't even declared war, where we only have 2,000 vulnerable troops, it's an underlining reason why we should get the hell out of there. And I lost Jack. Okay, so he must have been messing with his mute button or something. But it's just, to me, it underlines why we need to get out of Syria. We should have never gone there in the first place. We probably should have never left Iraq. None of this would have happened if we would have had a good SOFA agreement, a status of forces agreement with Iraq. And they couldn't. George W. Bush couldn't get it done. Barack Obama damn sure wasn't getting it done. I mean, I think the troop strength, the last troop strength card that he played, he said we'd keep 5,000 there. Well, that wouldn't have done it. Just like 2,000's not doing it in Syria. Don't try to tell me that 2,000 troops is the reason, is the only force that we have, and if we leave, we're going to lose the whole daggone thing. I mean, that just doesn't make any kind of sense at all. Now, we had an incident. There was an Indian advertising executive at Procter & Gamble Schick division that decided that white men weren't. They basically said that God was wrong. God was wrong when he made white heterosexual American men, and that they need to be fixed. And boys will be boys is no excuse for this toxic masculinity that has been pervasive within the white world, within the white man's world. And boy, did they get hammered, man. They got it from all sides. And I thought the same thing was going to happen with Colin Kaepernick. When he did the Nike commercial, I thought that was going to blow him up, and they actually had good sales. So maybe this is they know something that I don't, and maybe this is going to generate sales. I would doubt it. I'm going to say Schick and all of you, Gillette, everybody that makes razor blades, the Dollar Shave Club is going to bankrupt you. You might as well get out of razor blades right now, because the Dollar Shave Club is going to bankrupt you anyway. I mean, that's who I use, and I'm overflowing it. I got razor blades I don't know what to do with for like $6 a month. You know, you want to charge $25 for a 5-pack of blades. Well, that business model is not going to work very well for very long. I've had Dollar Shave Club for 4 years. 3. But are we back, Jack? Are we in?
Hello,
Yes,
testing 1,
you're
2.
in. You're in.
I don't know what happened. I guess they didn't want me to speak on. I mean, that Syria deal. I missed out on what you were. That report even last week, I had like some nerves about somehow it leaked out of the Pentagon that we've started moving troops, and I'm like, you don't tell people that. So how the hell does that leak out of the Pentagon and make the mainstream media? And then now you have this attack, and the report I saw was a little bit different than what was portrayed on that account. It said it was a meeting of special operations folks in this restaurant. And then I'm thinking, how in the world does this happen? Who knew that? Who in their right mind would have that meeting there? This, to me, stinks to high heaven.
Well, it always does.
It doesn't make sense, because they're going to, and immediately ISIS claims credit. And I'm thinking, ISIS heard from the president that all U.S. troops are going to be leaving Syrian battlefield. Why in the hell would they want to, kick the U.S. and possibly put I didn't see President Trump tweet at all since this news came out. I'm sure he's pissed off. He wants answers, and he's ready to, go full bore on this.
No, the thing is, you have to understand the geography of the place, too. I mean, Syria is to the west of Iraq, and the American troops that are in Iraq are on the Syrian border. You know what I mean? They're out in Al-Anbar province.
This was northern Syria. This was towards the Turkey border, which makes it another sketchy thing in my mind of what's going on here. It's almost like we've already discussed. You had elements within our own government that were fighting against what President Trump wants to do and get us out of there.
The Pentagon is the worst agency. One of the worst agencies of the federal government for the deep state. Make no mistake about that. And I'm talking about in and out of uniform. And I've been around long enough to see it myself.
There's a lot of money made on the military side.
There is. And the idea that they are untouchable is crazy. The military needs reform just like the other agencies.
This to me stinks as bad as Benghazi did when it happened. So,
I'm not at that level yet, but I could get there.
It makes no sense. ISIS, like they did in Iraq when Obama pulled the troops out, they waited until all the guys were gone. Then they went in and took the equipment. It's like, hello, here's the motor pool.
Right.
Here's all this shiny new equipment.
And it was a lot. It was a lot. It was thousands of pieces of equipment.
They didn't poke the dragon when the dragon says I'm leaving. They didn't poke the dragon by killing 4 special ops guys in a restaurant when the troops are still there.
Now, you heard of Nancy Pelosi, and maybe not so much. The audience maybe hadn't heard as much about Steny Hoyer. Out of Maryland, I think is where he's from. He basically doesn't do anything, but he's making big money, and now he's the majority leader. So Pelosi sent him out and said, President Trump, I hate you, and there will be no State of the Union address. Sent Steny Hoyer out, And just incidentally, he's already backtracked on this.
I do have another question about the State of the Union. The letter from Pelosi says that she suggests we work together to determine another suitable date. That's how she wrote it. I mean, the letter sounds like she's asking, but isn't she just telling him that this is off until the government's open?
Yeah, the Speaker is the one who invites the President to speak at the joint session, and she has said, as long as government's shut down, we're not going to be doing business as usual. So the State of the Union is off? The State of the Union is off.
What if the President, I don't know, responds with, no, he wants to keep the date? Any chance that he could convince you otherwise?
No. Our response will be, Mr. President, if you want to open up the government, the Senate now has 7 bills that they can use, and we're going to send an 8th bill tomorrow or today to them, in which includes disaster relief, and there are really 2 disasters. The disasters that have been caused by natural causes, natural phenomena, and the disaster that has been caused by the President of the United States of shutting down government and locking out 800,000 people from getting paid the money that they have earned.
Mitch, stand your ground, Mitch. Don't give up. Don't give up. You'll ruin the Republican Party. You'll be dead if you give up.
They got to stand strong.
You have to.
I mean,
I don't care if it takes 6 months.
We're like pulling. This is like opening up a festering wound, and sure, you're going to have casualties along the way, but the American people need to stay focused on what's going on in D.C. right now. Who is responsible for the shutdown? I blame Paul Ryan and the Republican Congress from last year.
I agree.
They didn't pass a budget in time. That should be their first line of business. Right now, they should be passing the budget for next year.
They set it all up. You're absolutely right, and I want everybody to remember that. The Republicans caused this. They could have passed this in the first 2 years. They could have passed this in the first 5 minutes of the Trump administration.
Yep.
But they screwed around, and they tried to play the games, and luckily, I'm glad that we were able to expose as many of the resistors that we were able to. 540, what is your name, and where are you calling from?
This is Kathy. I'm calling from Luray.
What's on your mind, Kathy?
Well, this Nancy Pelosi were the State of the Union. My question comes to this, and I'm sure you guys can probably help me with it. The building in the space where the President has the State of the Union, if I'm not mistaken, is owned by the people, not by the people who are in there and voted on to be put as our representatives, but by the people. Who are they to tell the President he cannot come there and do the State of the Union? Who are they?
You're right. You're right.
I am so sick of them.
Unfortunately, the chain of command in the House of Representatives gives the protocol, really, that the Speaker of the House is supposed to invite the President, who is in a different branch of government, into their branch of government and into their House. I personally think that this, and I think that the President has the wherewithal to do this and the knowledge of how to do it. I think, like Rush Limbaugh said on his show today, he ought to rent out a Coliseum. He ought to do the State of the Union.
House.
Right. Do it like a rally, but make it the State of the Union. Because
he's talking to us anyway. It's for us. It's
and who wants to watch
up there in the D.C.?
Who wants to watch a State of the Union anyway? That's so fake. With the standing ovations, it makes you sick.
Yeah, and it only started, I think it was Lyndon B. Johnson was the first time they did it with it. I mean, it
was the age of television.
The day of
when
television.
Yeah.
Age of television, because if you go back in history, what it was supposed to be a report.
A written
delivered
report, right.
from the executive branch to the House or to the Congress every year. Even Thomas Jefferson said, this is why do we have to do this? This is
and it
almost
is
setting
it's
me
constitutional
to look like a king.
It's constitutional, though. It's in the Constitution.
It's required,
but it is not required to be public.
Right.
All you have to do is write it and send it to them.
Right.
And you've met your constitutional requirements, and then have a rally.
Yeah, but the reason I like it is because it's President Trump, and he's going to come out, and it's televised, so we get to see it, and he's going to come out and speak his mind and tell everybody what he has done, just like you all had said earlier. Unemployment, the lowest it's been forever.
Right.
Those are things that he could come and just slam into their face. I'm so sick of Pelosi. I'm sick of all of those idiots up there that I think I'm going to have to go on blood pressure medicine if they keep up.
I'm already on it. So, Kathy, we appreciate your opinion. Call back anytime, okay?
Okay. Have a great one, guys.
Kathy
bye.
from Luray.
Thanks,
right.
Kathy.
All right, bye.
Disclaimer, that's my better half.
Right. That happens to me every time.
And she's frustrated as we are. But I'm not on Russia's side as far as that, as doing a big Coliseum type thing. But I would like to see the president do the State of the Union from the Oval Office.
That'll work too.
And
as long as he's Trump. As long I don't think he needs to go 100% teleprompter, man. I really don't. I think he should come out. I mean, he put that big spread out there with all those Big Macs and all those triples and everything else on the table. Not one sandwich was left. Everybody had a great time. I thought it was the smartest thing I've ever seen, and the media was clutching their pearls, man. And so were half the Republicans.
But all the players that I've seen, they loved it. The
college football player,
the coaches, yeah.
Do they want foie gras? Do they want liver? Big Macs, Whoppers.
That
was amazing.
I don't know the third thing. I know they had Domino's Pizza too, and it was stacked to the top.
And nothing was left.
Those college football players need to eat, and they got plenty to eat.
And I'm watching them, and they're going by it. One guy got 3 Big Macs and 2 doubles.
One guy was stacked up from his palm to his shoulder,
and he ate every piece. They ate it all, boy. I mean, I thought that was brilliant. I do. I thought that was an iconic moment in American history. I mean, here you have somebody who's representing 70 million Americans doing what we all thought was right, except for like Bill Kristol and But I thought
the
it was
elitists, right?
Yeah, you think these guys want filet mignon? Probably, but they
I saw a report that I think it was Michael Strahan, used to be big time NFL player for the Giants, has his TV. He's on one of the early morning TV shows, and he had some of the Clemson folks on this morning, and he was serving them caviar. I'm like, what?
Yeah, they put it in between 2 pieces of bread.
It's like, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening
to
Cold War Radio with Hutch Bailey Jr., your host in Pittsburgh, and Jack in the Mountain from the Shenandoah Valley. This is the Wednesday Briefing. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You are listening to Cold War Radio.
Chicago, Chicago, that toddling town.
What's a Florida girl doing here in the heart of the Midwest? Reminding you that 100% orange juice from Florida puts a little bit of sunshine into every day, even where the sun doesn't always shine. Orange juice is a blend of essential B vitamins and minerals, and all that natural vitamin C. So if you can't come to the Florida Sunshine Tree, let it come to you.
Big wheels are a-rolling. Listen to them turn. The big wheel sound of power with speed enough to burn. Winning. Spinning. Braking. The Big Wheel by Marx with adjustable seat, handy saddlebag, and a quick stop racing brake. Braking. Winning. Spinning. It's the Big Wheel with saddlebag and racing brake. Big Wheel by Marx. If we make it, it can take it.
This guy happens to be successful. Very successful. And he looks it. You can bet that his hair isn't dry, stiff, or wild-looking. His hair looks healthy, alive, naturally terrific, because he uses this natural conditioner every day. Brill Cream, regular or new anti-dandruff. Just a little dab of Brill Cream is the natural way to make success go to your head.
A terror plot foiled. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Local and federal authorities make an arrest in the plan to attack high-profile targets in the nation's capital.
Police say they've arrested Hashir Taheb of Cumming, Georgia, for his alleged plan to attack the White House and other federal targets in Washington. Northern Georgia U.S. Attorney B.J. Pack says Taheb sought to do as much damage as possible
by using explosive devices, including an improvised explosive device, an anti-tank rocket.
The Joint Terrorism Task Force was alerted by tips from the local community. Pack says Taheb only focused on D.C. buildings. They've uncovered no evidence that the upcoming Super Bowl in nearby Atlanta next month was an additional mass casualty target.
Fox's Gernal Scott. U.S. service members killed and wounded in Syria.
As people walked along the street in northern Syria, an explosion suddenly rips through a restaurant where U.S. Special Forces had gone for a meeting. Among the dead in the bloody aftermath, 2 American soldiers and 2 American civilians who were inside at the time of the blast. 3 other U.S. troops were wounded. Just hours after ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack, Vice President Mike Pence spoke at the State Department praising the president's decision to withdraw.
Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. Pence says the troop drawn down will be orderly and American forces will make sure ISIS does not regroup. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer agreeing with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi after she requested President Trump delay the State of the Union address while the government remains shut down.
What is the State of the Union? The government is closed because of President Trump. If it continues to be closed on the 29th, I think it's a good idea to delay it till the government is open.
Pelosi has said both the Secret Service and Department of Homeland Security are affected by the shutdown, saying the president should consider submitting the address in writing or delivering it from the Oval Office. This is Fox News. Michigan State University's interim president will step down from his post over his handling of the Larry Nassar scandal.
The Detroit Free Press was the first to report that John Engler will resign as interim president of Michigan State University. The move comes hours after the school's board scheduled a meeting for Thursday morning with the intent to fire Engler. He had been under heavy criticism for the past year since taking over the post from Luana Simon, who herself resigned under heavy scrutiny from her handling of the Larry Nassar sex abuse scandal. Engler had come under fire for suggesting that survivors of abuse under the guise of treatment by the disgraced former sports doctor were enjoying the spotlight while the school was trying to get back to work. Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
14 months in prison for a military widow after authorities say she claimed to have a son so she could collect additional benefits. 61-year-old Elizabeth Hayes Cox accused of stealing more than $68,000 in Social Security benefits and another $44,000 from the Department of Veterans Affairs between 2000 and 2017. A judge ordered that she also pay $114,000 in restitution. An Illinois man who spent more than 2 decades in prison for murder has been absolved of the crime because of new ballistics testing.
53-year-old Patrick Persley has been acquitted in the 1993 murder of 22-year-old Andy Asher in Rockford, Illinois, thanks to new technology and testing of ballistics that proves the gun prosecutors used in the case was not the gun used in the crime. It caps off a long journey that Persley undertook to prove his innocence, including representing himself and lobbying Illinois lawmakers to pass a law allowing ballistics to be retested. He also chose to have a judge, not a jury, decide his case after getting a new trial. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Former To Catch the Predator host Chris Hansen, charged with issuing a bad check at his hometown of Stamford, Connecticut. Hansen's been released on a promise to appear in court. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
There's a fragrance that's here today, and they call it Charlie. A different fragrance that thinks your way, yeah, they call it Charlie. Kinda young, kinda now, Charlie. Kinda free, kinda wow, Charlie. Kinda fragrance that's gonna stay, and it's here now, Charlie.
Charlie by Revlon, a most original fragrance.
Did you know that it's Dollar Days at Gaylord's and you can get 2 quarts of motor oil, 6 light bulbs, or 4 rolls of foil for just $1? Did you know that laundry baskets, waste baskets, and storage chests are just $1? Did you know that garden tools, garden hoses, and patio tables are 2 for $3? And did you know that Gaylord's Sunday newspaper supplement is filled with hundreds of other great values? Well, now you know, and
the more you know, the more you go to Gaylord's.
Welcome back to Cold War Radio, the Wednesday Briefing, ladies and gentlemen, with Hutch Bailey Jr., your host and co-host Jack from Virginia.
A little dab will do you.
A little
remember
dab
that Brill cream, man?
I do. I remember the Palmolive ad when Madge had the lady's hand in the dishwashing soap.
Yeah.
No, keep it in there. It moisturizes. Old Madge. Anyway,
old simple times back then in the 70s.
Absolutely. And like I said, you can see the video of all those ads on the website. It's the post right before this one. So you will have to scroll in a couple days. I was hoping to get Mona Salam on here. She must be busy tonight. I was expecting her to be in here, but that doesn't matter because this is a professional show and we're ready. We are always ready. That only happens one time. When you have a guest ready and you don't have any material, after that, it doesn't happen anymore. you prepare yourself for such situations. I wanted to go over a couple headlines, Jack. I mean, this is something that we have to be very careful with because these young communists that have just been elected on the Democrat ticket into the House are truly communists. I want you to listen to some of these headlines. And I just grabbed a sample of them from the Drudge Report. Don't want to go into the stories. I just want you to actually see where, just check the trends. De Blasio pitches a plan to seize private property of problem landlords. This is another worthless communist mayor, like we have so many in this country, that wants to seize private property. He wants to be the judge and jury in this, Jack. This is
that's evident because I wasn't, it was a couple days earlier. He's basically saying that all the money in the United States are in the wrong hands.
Yeah, and what do the three people in New York that opposed de Blasio, there's only 3 people. What do they say? Opponents cry communism. Yeah, I guess. 2020 Vision, Beto, whose real name is Bobby O'Rourke, he's an Irish guy down in Texas, wonders if we can still be managed by founding principles. And when you couple that thought process from somebody who's been brainwashed his whole life, and you look at all the other people that have been brainwashed that we forgot about as parents and uncles and aunts and grandparents, we forgot about these people and just let the government raise them. And then we wonder why we have politicians, very, very popular politicians, that wonder if we can still be managed. I don't need to be managed by founding principles.
The founding principles, folks, is the Constitution.
Yeah.
And the Constitution is not managing us. It is making sure that the people of this country manage the government.
That's right. They need to be brought down to size. They really do.
Yes.
And don't let the excrement hit the fan either. Don't let that happen. Gillibrand, of course, puts her gender front and center. Castro proposes releasing illegals with ankle monitors. Bernie Sanders, he's doing damage control because everybody's out there out communisming him.
That's hilarious.
It's awesome.
That must be
But
a
it's
big
dangerous.
business. Castro must be involved in, with a quid pro quo for ankle monitor business.
I mean, he doesn't even look normal, man. I mean, I'd use a word, but I'm not going to do that.
But he's also one of the announced as a Democratic presidential candidate.
Yeah, there's two of
for
them.
2020.
There's two Castros. One's already in Congress. This one here was the Secretary of something under Obama. So there's two like twin Fidel Castros out there. Ocasio-Cortez, La Cucaracha. Listen to this, man. This is, I don't know if the president could hold a State of the Union address. I don't know if these communists could contain themselves. They might come in there with signs, or jump up and start screaming. Ocasio-Cortez Cucaracha. Listen to this verbiage. She says that she's going to run a train on progressive agenda. Now, what Congress? I mean, I don't know what to say. This is real. And she's also joined the effort to oust more.
She's a newly minted member of the House Financial Committee.
She's working for Maxine Waters, man. This is going to be funny. And she's joined the effort to oust more incumbent Democrats. Maxine Waters is going to put manners on that young lady. I would guess. I don't think Ocasio is going to beat Waters. I think Waters she'll end up in a dumpster somewhere.
I don't think Waters controls herself either. She gets put out there on impeach 45.
But the critics of Ocasio-Cortez, actually, she taunts her critics and says, "What do you got left?" I mean, Maxine Waters' biggest test is keeping the peace. And it's going to be, man, this is going to be fun to watch. That's all I got to say about that. I mean,
that's what we said last week. We got plenty of material coming for the next.
It's serious though, because so many people are so vulnerable in this country that they buy this stuff, Jack. And I mean, if you get, I said it on Monday to a caller. Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large numbers, because they have caused mayhem since Adam and Eve.
When you have the mainstream media pushing the same narratives as these folks that we've been talking about, right? And you add on to it the top tech internet outlets that folks, that don't want to read or learn history, that just follow that on a daily basis. You're talking about a hell of a lot of influence,
Yeah, and it's mindless.
We're just two people with an awesome audience right now, and we need you guys to sit there and spread the message that there's still common sense and there is America still alive and on the air. I went
over the demographics last night, Jack, and there was a big hole from 1 year old to 24. A real big hole. And I started thinking about it, and I know why now. You look at these kids, and you've got kids, and I've got kids, and everybody's got kids. They don't know how to talk to each other anymore. They don't talk. They communicate, but they don't talk. No wonder they're not listening to the radio.
It's all text.
Yeah.
Right? And they've got their phones to communicate. You've had that issue. I mean, we've talked about it. I was so against that move when I saw all of the cell phone companies advertising family plans. Everyone in the family must have one of these devices. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? When I went to school, one day I decided to bring my Mattel electronic football game because I was so happy that
I love that game.
Yeah. It was seized by the vice principal like the first month of the year because no electronics were allowed in school, and I didn't get it back until the end of the year.
Now you got to buy them a computer to go to school.
Now, they're allowed to have computers in their hands, which is their phones.
Sure. Let's welcome Ken from King George. Ken, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on? Well, you were talking about all the stuff with Google, but you got to be smart enough to be able to plug into Google what you want to search for.
Right.
I mean, same thing with YouTube. That I see with the kids. They're all, well, how do I change this out? I said, well, look it up. I'm sure somebody else has probably got a YouTube video out there somewhere.
Oh, but YouTube has saved me so many times. They've saved me so many times.
Oh yeah,
you just had out last week, Ken. A kid was cheating on his homework by using Alexa. He was doing his math. It was like first grade. I think it was first grade. And he was like, Alexa, what is 2 + 8? And Alexa would give him the answer. And he did it like 3 times, and then Mom busted him. But, Well,
just remember, when you get in front of Alexa, all you got to do is say, Alexa, play Cold War Radio.
Cold War Radio.
And it happens every time. It's awesome. The only bad part is you immediately, you don't get the shock effect because Spreaker has to have that commercial first.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So the show doesn't start right away, but it's still cool.
Well, just another thing that's still out there for Jack. You might want to pass on the word. This is for the whole show, but I was listening to another fellow talk radio guy, and he was saying he'd played a little clip from Terry McAuliffe in an interview that he was doing the other day, and it sounds like he might be throwing his hat in.
Good, let him lose too.
So, you might want to do a little research on him, and like all the what was it, that Green
New Deal
car company, that he invested in, stuff. Just little stuff like that failed while he was governor.
I think the biggest thing he did was let all those felons vote, and it was amazing.
Right? Yeah.
It was amazing because Hillary Clinton won Virginia with the exact amount of votes that he released the felons from. I think it was 60,000 votes.
Well, they did take that to court, and I think they reduced it down to like 12,000.
Oh, good.
But they had people working overtime trying to, pardon all these people.
Oh, yeah.
Restore,
Florida did it too. Rick Scott did it down in Florida. What a jerk. You got to wonder about these. All right, Ken, thanks for calling, brother.
All right.
Thanks, Ken.
Let's welcome Sean from California. What's going on, Sean?
Hey, Hutch. You guys were talking about how the younger generation, the millennials, as we call them, well, I'm in that age group, so I can't really speak on that. But anyways, the point is, you're right. They're not going to really hold a conversation anymore unless you really work at it to get their attention.
Right. When I talk to my stepson, or even sometimes even my wife, when they're on the phone, it's like I'm interrupting them. I'm all in their way, It's like, all I did was ask you something, It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the generation that has grown up with the technology and not with common sense.
Well, the thing is, to me, and I think a lot of it is that you've never been exposed to how different it was without it.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why, younger generations of like myself just don't get into this unless we're facing imminent danger, and then they start paying attention. But you can only hold their patience for so long, and their attention for so long, and their focus for so long before they lose interest altogether.
No, I think you're right. It's the age. It's the age of immediate gratification too. That's something else. A savings account is not in the plans. Thanks for calling, Sean. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let's welcome Mona Salama to the program. I didn't think you were going to make it tonight. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? No, I know. I had to run from the event. It was.
You had to run to the vet. Oh, that's all. That's never.
No,
good.
I had to run. No, I had to run out of the event in order to come to the phone call.
Oh, what event are you at tonight?
It was getting ready for Fashion Week coming up.
Okay.
So yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed political analyst and writer, and also fashion writer, Mona Salama from New York. On her and 5-0 is on her block right now, I guess.
No, it's an ambulance. I'm just waiting for the bus to head home right now.
All right. Well, it's lively out there. That's cool. I want you to. I want you to listen.
That's why I love New York.
I know. I want you to listen to something. This is. I want you to keep in mind that this is a national CNN news reporter. Don Lemon was on, and he decided he has this little thing every night where he talks to Cuomo, and they have a little dialogue, and it usually a lot of times it makes headlines, but I want you to listen to him in the context that this is an employee of CNN who's on all that he's recognized worldwide, and I want you to listen to how he carries himself when he talks about me, basically. It's ridiculous.
Right now. On what we ignore, we empower. You just said that, right? Yes, sir. Okay. I agree with you. And also, I know this is going to be controversial. So, to challenge all the supporters of this president, when you said to John Kasich, I know people who support Donald Trump. They're not bigots. But for people who look like me, other minorities, women who have been, well, let's just leave this to race. This president has said and done so many insensitive and bigoted and racist things that if you support him, people like me want to understand why you ignored so much in order to support this man. You may not think you're a racist. Maybe, I don't know if you are. I don't think, every Trump supporter is a racist. But you certainly had to overlook racism and bigotry in order to make that decision. Now then, maybe you made that decision in the voting booth. And then now, even after all of this, if you still, in your mind, can support this person, why the hell are you overlooking racism so much? It is personal and even deadly to people like me. That is important.
So I think this is the Trump presidency, Mona, is dangerous and deadly dangerous. Don Lemon thinks somebody's going to kill him over the racism of President Trump. And I, being a white guy, maybe I'm insensitive. I don't think so. But I don't see the racism that these people are talking about. Your thoughts?
I don't either.
Your thoughts on it? I mean, this is it's something that's being generated.
If they want to talk about racism, they should go to third world countries where religions are being persecuted by dictators, and people by certain colors are being massacred and things like that. I don't understand when the economy is booming, there's jobs, and we're being safe in this nation, how this president can be considered racist, and how is that everything he has done positive is dangerous over Marcus too, that was taken out of cuff.
And you look at his son-in-law, and you look at the effort that he spearheaded. That will affect a vast majority of the people are black that are affected by the prison reforms, the sentencing reforms that were recently passed. I mean, this is something that no other Democrat certainly never did anything like this. And
no, because Democrats caused it.
Right. And Jack, I got to say, with Don Lemon, I mean, he said that America's biggest terror threat came from right-wing white men. So we have to stop demonizing people and realize that the biggest terror threat in this country is white men. Most of them radicalized to the right, he said.
Yeah.
So
and that was only a few weeks ago.
So what JBL Johnson said a long time ago, I want to keep black poor. That's the reason why we made the Great Society. That's not racism at its finest, and he actually didn't say blacks. He said the N-word.
Yeah, that's a fact. I mean, that absolutely happened. And just to finish up Don Lemon's comments, and we have to start doing something about them. There is no travel ban on them. There's no ban on. They had the Muslim ban. There's no white guy ban. So what do we do about this? Is CNN.
I think that Don Lemon needs to stop taking his fights with his boyfriend on the air.
Something. Something. I mean,
I think he needs to stop taking things too personally.
But how can he
taking
feel
things out of context? Everything, because I don't hear what's her name, Joyce Reid from MSNBC saying things like that, and MSNBC is more racist than CNN.
You're going to tell me that Don Lemon feels like he has a deadly threat again? Have you ever been to Atlanta? I have several times. Don Lemon doesn't have a problem in Atlanta. You know what I mean? I mean, to act like, because the president is the president, that Don Lemon is in fear for his life. To me, anybody who watches CNN, I mean, you got to be nuts to watch that show, to watch that station, that network. I mean, unless it's special.
Always good to, like Art of War. It's always good to know what the enemies are saying and what they're
absolutely.
doing.
That's why I play the clips.
Just to hear, that's why you always, like, you don't put it on, like, you don't leave it on like you do with Fox News. Like, my father won't watch CNN, but if he is like, oh, I want to hear the garbage coming out their mouth, let me put on CNN.
Oh, just tell him
put on CNN for 5 minutes.
Just tell him to listen to this show. I put the clips on every night.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, in general.
I got you.
When there's a press conference or something like that, that's when my dad would be like, let me turn off 5 minutes, and then he's like, all right, I'm sick of this. Put it back on Fox.
And even Fox is not, based in reality in certain aspects these days. The thing is that if you look over back to the Obama administration, when this whole invention of this race deal in the United States, I grew up, I was in school when busing started. I was just at when I was starting school, it was just after the Civil Rights Act and all of these implementations and moving for our country to move forward from that bad past to 2008. We made a hell of a lot of progress. I'm telling you, because I lived it. I was like in between all of this deal, because I was hated by whites and blacks, because my mom is Okinawan, from Japan. So I had racial things going on when I was younger, but as we went further and as I grew to an adult and lived all through the 80s, 90s to 2000s, everything seemed to be getting better as a country. Now, all of a sudden, we're like back in the 50s again. And who's pushing it? Folks like Don Lemon and members of Congress.
Yeah. Look what they're doing to Steve King, for example. Yes, his comments were stupid beyond belief, but now they're talking about they want him to resign. They stripped out of his committees. But what about Maxine Waters when she's like telling her supporters to come attack, Trump supporters? What about other Democrats that are doing the same thing? I don't see their committee chairmen being pulled out of.
No, you should have been on the show earlier. I agree with you, and I can't believe I'm totally embarrassed for all of the white Republicans that acted the way they did. Steve King, I can tell you exactly what Steve King did. Either the person that interviewed him didn't portray it properly, or what more than likely happened, because I made the same argument at the beginning when they started talking about the alt-right. I said, there's nothing wrong with a white nationalist. All that is, if you look at the definition of a white nationalist, it's somebody who's white who loves their country. We're not looking for a white country. We love our country, and we're white. And I think that's what he was trying to say. But he made the error of adding that poison word in there, white supremacist.
Yeah.
I don't think he meant that. I think he meant the same way that I meant that. Stop bastardizing my language. And stop making, just because the word white is in something, that doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't.
I don't know why he hasn't asked for that clip, because I know reporters record their conversations.
Right.
So I don't know why he's not asking to air it out, or his staff members, they also record it. When you get to interview or you do radio, they always have their cell phones recording us and air it out. And I don't know why he's not defending himself in a way that shows that, hey, I made a mistake. It was stupid, but this is what was said. But
the people that were really stupid were the people that denounced him in a minute. I mean, it didn't take them long. They were looking for those microphones, and baby, the networks had them out. And they went right to
these folks, these globalists love to use this term multiculturalism. And if you look at it, the United States is the beacon of multiculturalism.
You
look at the main cities,
cities
in the United States, and you see how I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about the 70s, 80s, all this, where sure there were some rough times when some immigrants came in, and the Irish had their deal when they first came in, other folks. But you look at cities were proud. They had little sectors. They had Little Italy. They had Chinatown. They had this and this.
And
everyone lived together. There was no fight.
You know what the rule was in Little Italy where I live? You don't talk Italian outside. You can talk Italian all day long in the house, but you don't talk it outside.
Because you're American.
Grandpa was allowed. He got what do they call it? He got grandfathered in. He got grandfathered in. But everybody else had to speak English. And I know a lot of Puerto Rican families that were the same way. As a matter of fact, I know some of them that didn't speak Spanish outside and didn't speak English inside.
Yeah.
The thing about multiculturalism is different than America. America is the melting pot. You come here, and it's like the French Foreign Legion. You get rid of your past, and now your future is with the Stars and Stripes. But multiculturalism isn't like that. Multiculturalism that was introduced by the cultural Marxists in this country is the same as what happened in the Balkans. It was one big country, but nobody is together. It's African American, it's Greek American, it's Italian American, it's Mexican American. That should be abolished. That's what's causing the problems in the United States is the balkanization, not to be confused with the melting pot. But the melting pot and multiculturalism are two separate things. And I think that multiculturalism, if we don't kill it, it's going to kill us.
I think it's a little opposite. I think it's growing up. I learned my father's culture, I learned my mom's culture, but I learned to be American. And then I, did this, the Pledge of Allegiance every morning, learned the prayers, blah, blah, blah. But nowadays, you can't even do the Pledge of Allegiance in school anymore. You can't say one nation under God anymore. So I think this new generation is becoming too babied to tell them to be proud about your culture, but forget that you're American.
Right. No, but there is some hope, Mona, because...
No, I think it's the opposite. It was hope for my generation.
My point is that I was looking at the demographics of the audience, and the third largest segment that we have is males aged 23 to 27 or something like that. But anyway, we're going to have to wait and see how all this pans out. Do you have to get on the bus?
No, I'm just waiting for it.
What about the subway, man? No subway out there?
I came from the subway. That's why I was a little late.
I don't know how you do it, man. I don't.
In the big city,
I got a big ass. I got a big ass truck.
I don't know how other people do it elsewhere. I need my transportation.
No problem, man. To each their own. Let's go to you, Jack.
But Hush, just to clarify, the multicultural. I mean, that's another term that's robbed by the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I embrace one of the most exciting and fulfilling aspects of being part of the United States military was to be a part of a group of people from all diverse cultures. Different
but
food,
the thing is,
different
is
places.
they're all wearing the same uniform.
Multiculturalism, I look at it as a positive in the United States. I don't look at it as what you portray it as right now. I embraced it. I loved going into different sectors of the city, meeting with different people.
Let me try to
serving with different people, eating foods, the culture, their celebrations, their dancing. But the main thing is that we were still all 100% American,
and that's not what multiculturalism is maintaining. It's like the La Raza and the.
It's the label. It's the
no,
label.
but there's people that are practicing multiculturalism. California is one of the biggest. Michigan is another one with the Muslim culture. I mean, they're not blending in with everybody else. They're not assimilating. They are segregating themselves by design in little Mogadishus in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Hamtramck in Michigan. It's just something that if they were willing to blend together, that would be one thing, but that's not the intent. And sounds of New York City in the background, ladies and gentlemen. Just let you enjoy that for a little bit. That got to be a train going by.
Where's the Frank Sinatra, New York backdrop?
I know. I should have.
No, it's a private sanitation truck.
A what? Oh, okay. A moan back. That's what you call a moan back, because the guy stands behind it and says, "Moan back, come on back, beep, beep, beep." Anyway, yeah, I know it's got to be rough out there. What about the problem landlords? Mona, what's de Blasio doing? He wants to go confiscate property.
He does nothing. he gets campaign donations from them. So he says he was going to get rid of the slumlords, and he never did.
Now he's going to take their properties.
Yeah, okay.
It's ridiculous, but
his big thing was affordable housing, and that has become nothing but a sham.
Hey, let me ask you something, because I remember at the beginning of his administration, they were comparing Michael Bloomberg.
The sales to city?
Well, no, Michael Bloomberg, who's trying to finance taking my rifles from me, which is not going to happen.
Yeah.
But when de Blasio took over, one of the things that Bloomberg, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, that Bloomberg carried on from Giuliani was that he kept the homeless camps in check. But as soon as de Blasio came in, you started seeing, and we have them here in Pittsburgh too, the homeless.
Yeah, no, the homeless population tripled under de Blasio. They're all, if you go to Times Square, they're like populated now.
Wow.
The homeless population is not, and then there's like 4-star hotels have to house some of them.
I heard that.
There's a census coming up, folks.
Yeah, gotta make sure
they got to count numbers. They got to get their numbers so they can get more representative.
But the thing that I was looking at, it was like they immediately took over the bus station. And I guess the bus station here had a lot of homeless people too. I used to hate going there. That was a scary place. It probably still is.
The one in Pennsylvania? I mean,
in Pittsburgh,
by 30th Station?
Yeah.
That was a cop car.
Nice. So is life getting worse there, or can you feel the effects of de Blasio?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of bad things he's done, but I don't think he can overturn what Giuliani and, what Bloomberg continued. It would, crime has been low. Everything's been okay. It's just, the cost of living is too high.
Oh, yeah, I know. I wonder whatever happened to the rent is too damn high candidate.
I know, he was funny. Jimmy,
He was hilarious. Let's go to
but
Jack.
I blame it more to Governor Cuomo more than I blame de Blasio.
He's trying to make his own Green New Deal now. He's going to take all fossil fuel out of New York State by 2040. So make sure you get a bike or something, because those cabs aren't going to run. That bus is going to be, unless it runs on. Well, maybe it could run on pixie dust or something. They probably do that.
Well, a lot of these buses are running on electric. There's a few of them that out there. We'll see how that goes.
I love it. All right, let's go to Jack. Jack, I want you to talk about El Chapo and some things going on in the drug war.
Yeah, this
Hush, I gotta go. I'm gonna
all right,
call you
Mona.
guys next week.
Thank you very much. Yeah, get here on
All
time
right.
next week, or I'm gonna dock
All right,
your pay.
definitely.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Mona.
Thanks.
Mona Salama, ladies and gentlemen, out of New York City.
At a bus stop.
Yeah, great journalist, though, no doubt.
A lot of great background noise. If we don't have no background noise,
I like
from
that,
our,
though. Well, she's outside. I mean, Mona's moving, man. She's not sitting in a studio like us. She's out there, and any time that she's going to be on here, she's going to be out there. So
yeah, this is the article I picked was one of the ones that's under the radar. You have the Barr confirmation hearing, which kind of troubled me, but we'll get into that later. And the Trump deal, the wall, the Syria deal. Meanwhile, the trial for Joaquin El Chapo Guzman goes on. And one of the cool things that just popped up yesterday was a witness, Alex Cifuentes, who describes himself. Cifuentes?
Yeah, that's like my man on NYPD Blue, Cifuentes.
Who has described himself as Guzman's one-time right-hand man, discussed the alleged bribe under cross-examination by one of Guzman's lawyers in Brooklyn federal court. What Cifuentes said is that accused Mexican drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman once paid $100 million bribe to former President Enrique Peña Nieto, a former associate. I mean, so is it surprising that a witness would say this?
One of the best shows that I ever watched on Netflix. If you take out the homosexual love scenes, but not El Chapo, Pablo, Narcos it was called. Narcos. It was about Pablo Escobar. Man, that was a good series. I mean, it showed the scope of the corruption in Colombia. I mean, this guy, he was going on trial. So what did they do? They blew up the evidence room.
Yeah, amazing how that happens, huh?
I mean, just
I still remember the Pablo Escobar footage of the taking down and killing of him there.
Yeah, I remember it too, and I remember
wasn't that our folks there?
Yeah,
FBI?
Absolutely. No, DEA.
Yeah.
DEA and CIA. I mean, it was.
It wasn't in the United States where they did this, was it?
No, it was at his house.
Yeah, it was at it. They knew where he lived. I mean, you show that they show this stuff out there, and it's like people, yeah, we got this guy, and I'm like, wait a minute, how in the hell do our United States law enforcement agents and operatives just end up right outside of Escobar's home and ready to take him out?
Oh man, they weren't playing either. They even let the Colombians get the headshot.
Yeah, they had, but I mean, can you imagine? But But here we have a guy that's cooperating with the United States in the trial against El Chapo, saying that they paid Cifuentes that they paid $100 million to the former president of Mexico.
And see, in the United States, we won't even investigate the Clinton Foundation. Marlene from Oregon, you're on. What's up?
Oh, you know you're right, Hutch. Yeah, why in the heck why don't we investigate the dad blame Clintons?
I know.
But anyway, we were talking about communism earlier, and you may have seen this. I posted the link in the chat earlier. It's sort of what they did to Pittsburgh, but I think it's a little worse.
Okay.
So if they were telling you guys you couldn't have handguns and all this other fun stuff.
Yeah, good luck with that.
They want to reduce. Yeah, they want to restrict the magazine to only 5 rounds. They're going to ban. This is nuts. They're going to ban handguns.
I know.
Yeah, limit. The whole thing. It's just like what you guys had. Almost the same damn thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, buy your kids toy guns. When they're 1 to 10, buy them toy guns, and by the time they're 10, take them to the range. I'm telling you, don't give this up. We're the only country in the world with a Second Amendment the way we have it. And it's written into the Constitution, not for hunting, Mr. Cuomo. It's for taking out the tyrants like you.
And they also are going to delay the background checks for 2 weeks because, get this, the state thinks they want to research the buyers to find out if gun owners, if there's any if they're not reporting any stolen guns, and then you have to lock them up when they're not in use. I mean, come on, give me a break. That's insane.
Yeah, I know. I always listen to Sean Hannity when he talks and tries to act like he's a regular guy. And he says he has all these guns, and they're all in all these safes. And I'm thinking, good luck with that, brother. Good luck with that at 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock in the morning when you've been working all day, and you're damn near comatose, and your window gets blown in. Go ahead, hit that safe, and then take the trigger guard off, and then load the magazine because it's probably empty. And then by the time your wife is raped 3 times, you might have a round in the chamber. It's ridiculous.
It is. It's totally stinking ridiculous. And what's worse is, in our Eugene paper, there was a little thing. I found it in the city region, kind of back in the back. And then I go on the internet, and here's a whole blown up thing that was a conservative. Oh God, dang it! I had it in the post. I posted it in the chat earlier, but I was just kind of shocked that here's this tinky, inky, bitty article in our paper, and then on the internet, it was a full blown article. I'm like, my God!
Hey, could you do me a favor, Marlene? Just for the audience, could you spell "Guldangit"? Because I never heard that before. I like that one. I'm just kidding.
I have to think of something. I can't use curse words all the time.
I like that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, now in this
I've got a few other cute ones too. You might hear from me on occasion.
All right.
Yeah, in this current scenario, you have the commercials out there with this like Ring technology where you put a camera on your house, security thing, and then it alerts to your phone, and you can sit there and trash talk potential home invaders from your phone. Like that's a last line of defense. No.
That would be so funny.
A shotgun is a much better deterrent.
Especially if you go by Joe Biden's advice and just take the double-barrel shotgun and just shoot them both right through the door.
That sounds like the Beverly Hillbillies.
That's something that'll get you put in jail.
Remember the good old days? I think Granny had her double-barrel shotgun.
I remember that. I love that. In a cement pond.
I did too. I love that show.
Heck yeah, she was what was the girl's name?
Ellie Mae.
Ellie Mae. Yeah, she was protecting Ellie Mae's honor. Man, she wasn't messing around. All right, Marlene. Thanks for calling. Right. We'll catch you on Friday.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
Thanks, Marlene.
So I don't know what I gotta do something. Jack, Sunday it's going to be 1 degree. at Camp Vienna and 2 feet of snow. So I'm sitting there wondering, what do I got to do? I got to go up there. So I'm going to go up I'm going to do the show here Friday. And then I'm going to go up on Saturday morning, I think. I'm going to watch this weather. There's a big, I don't know if it's a nor'easter or what it's called, but there's a lot of snow in my area associated with it, especially depending which way it goes up at the camp.
Yeah, it looks like it's headed your way. I mean, I'm seeing the weather patterns, and it's a possibility I may dodge this one. I didn't dodge last week. I was shoveling. I think Ken was shoveling, or using a tractor. But yeah, I think you guys may be hit this weekend.
I use solar power to shovel my driveway. When the sun comes out and it melts it, we're good.
Yeah, I worked on that. It didn't work the first day, so I had to pull out the shovel to make sure, because we got some, icy rain coming the next couple of days. We're on a hill, so yeah, with the 1 degree temperature, whatever snows there is going to be there for a little bit. Where's the global warming when you need
I know. I mean, why is everybody against global warming? You think of how much more food we could have. I mean, you could have people on food stamps for half the price. We get on that. But anyway, we covered a lot tonight. We certainly did. I mean, there's some. I still think probably the most important thing that we need to look at. Keep your eye on Taiwan, man. That's not done yet. That's not. I'm very nervous.
I know you're very concerned about that. I heard you talk about that on Monday. What are your thoughts on the confirmation hearing for the new Attorney General?
I think he'll make it, and I like the idea that he's politically savvy enough to sit there and assuage all these Democrat senators that are asking him questions. But notice how at the end of every answer, he equates it with as long as the laws and regulations support that. And that's not verbatim, but that's basically what he said. He said, yes, I will let Mueller destroy President Trump as long as it's within the regulation. And I like that, because the regulations are on our side.
Mueller, the only way he will be removed or terminated is if he does such and such. My major problem was very early when he was introducing his family.
I didn't watch any.
He introduced.
I'll be honest with you.
He's
a deep state Bush guy, and all I can hope for is that he cares about the law, like Frank Zappala at Allegheny County, who is also a deep state guy.
That was my hopes too. And during the introduction, I think it was Lindsey Graham, that he's now the chairman, asked him to introduce his family that was behind him.
The family
first
that
started off,
Lindsey Graham doesn't have.
His wife, retired librarian.
All right.
I was like, okay,
it's like my aunt. That's my aunt. Okay.
Then he went through his 3 daughters. Boom. DOJ attorney.
Oh yeah.
Boom. Government attorney.
Oh yeah.
Boom. Another government attorney.
Oh, sure.
And then paused, introduced his grandson Liam, who is
Antifa
now like a Fox News favorite. Then and introduced the husbands, the son-in-laws. Boom. DOJ attorney.
Oh boy. Well, what are you going to
boom.
do? We can only wait and see. I mean, we can
lobbyist and boom, another DOJ attorney. So this whole thing with the swamp, his whole family to me represents the freaking swamp.
Yeah.
When you have that kind of connections, Now,
in fairness, there have been some good people that came out of the swamp, and I know I should be 100% against this guy, and I just don't have the energy, man. I want somebody to come in there and do the right thing, and if this guy's the guy, good. If it's not, Well, we'll get rid of them, and start over again because
I don't remember Sessions showing a whole family full of Department of Justice lawyers as his kin. Do you?
No. And I don't know that maybe this is a tactical pick because he doesn't want a big fight. I'm guessing that's probably what this is. I'm sure there was some communications between the president's people and Barr before the selection was made. But we will have to catch up on all of this on Friday and going forward. So with that, Jack, your final comments, and we will see you on Friday.
Hey, I love all of the people that are tuned in now, especially the folks in the Spreaker chat room. You rock. You need to explode in numbers because you are what is holding this constitutional republic in balance.
No doubt.
Right? Against everything that we see. We'll be back Friday. You can find me on Gab at Jack at Mountain. And I love you all. Thank you for tuning in.
All right. Thank you, Jack. And I am Hutch Bailey Jr., deep down in the bunker in the city of Pittsburgh. I want to thank everybody for listening live and sharing the show and sharing your feelings and your thoughts in the chat room. I want to thank Rocky in the VFW chat room, the president of the VFW. He's getting ready to open the bar. So I hope everybody enjoys that. We will be back on Friday at 8 p.m., and thanks for letting us into your life for a couple hours on this Wednesday briefing. Let's give one to the Navy because the South China Sea is getting hot. God bless.
Speaking for your local Chrysler dealer. And tonight I have a real challenge for you because we believe that 15 minutes here can change 15 years of car buying habits. And that's especially true if you now drive one of the two major competitive cars in Chrysler's price class. In fact, every day more and more folks just like you are making the big switch to the exciting new 56 Chrysler. But let's spend a Saturday morning with the owners of this sleek new power style Chrysler. And I'll show you some of the reasons why.
Notice how your neighbors look with admiration as you drive out in your new Chrysler. And no wonder. From the rakish flare of its new flight-swept rear fenders, right up to its bold but elegant new front styling, the new Power Style Chrysler emphasizes the forward look of power in motion.
Looks like it's still moving, even when it stops.
Some design. And now let's go with the missus for the Saturday shopping. Well, here's a young man who's mighty impressed.
Wow, another new Chrysler. That rear end looks just like a jet plane.
He knows what he's talking about. The Chrysler engineers have adapted the most modern jet plane designs in this new Chrysler. Everywhere people notice you.
I'll park it for you. Get a real kick out of that push-button driving. What a car.
Well, now you begin to understand some of the reasons why America's most smartly different car is being seen in all the smartest places. But slip behind the wheel of a new Power-Style Chrysler and get the whole story for yourself. Just be prepared to make the switch to Chrysler, because I promise you, 15 minutes here can change 15 years of habits. Why not stop in at your Chrysler dealers tomorrow? Take the keys and see what driving pleasure really is.